level design or whether it is a high design. So how we are trying to make a design of a system that has to be identified. So for high level design, high level design, what we are doing, we are trying to use a system architecture or the framework, what type of framework that a particular system is going to have, depending upon a type of the system framework or system architecture we are trying to build the system. So once that system architecture is being decided, then what is the next step? We need to identify whether the system is a complex system or not. So if the system is a complex system, then what we need to do? We need to divide the entire system into the different subsystems. So we need to allocate the subsystems to the hardware and the software. And after identifying the hardware and the software, so the next policy is we need to model the system. So how we are trying to model the system? By using the class design. So this entire chapter deals with the system design. So how to make a system design, that means we are talking about a high level architecture. So how we are trying to design a system? So what are the requirements are there for designing the system? So how it can be performed? So for designing the system, we need to we know that the system design is the next stage of devising the basic approach to solve a problem. So whatever the system that we have designed, so what we are trying to identify, we are trying to identify what is the basic problem in the problem statement after the system conception. So what are the requirements that are needed? So once the requirement has been done, so whether that particular architecture is going to fit. So if it is a complex system, so how it is being divided into the subsystems. So that is all about a system design. So when we are making a trying to design a system design, we need to look into the overall structure and the style of the system. So in what way the system has to be built. So what are the how many number of subsystems are there? Whether all the subsystems, after integrating all the subsystems, so how the system is going to behave? What is the performance of the system? All these things has to be measured. And next thing is system architecture determines the organization of the system into subsystem. So based on the architecture of the system or a framework of the system, we are trying to identify what is the complexity level of that particular system. So once there is a complexity of that particular system, what we are trying to do, we are trying to identify how that can be implemented and how many number of subsystems are required. So how to implement that. So all these things will be taken care with respect to the system design. So when we are trying to use a system design, some of the decision has to be made, or we can say some of the steps has to be taken care. So here are the list of decision or steps that we are trying to use with respect to the system design. So the first one is estimate the performance, make a reuse plan, organize the system into the subsystem, identify the concurrency inherent in the problem, allocate the subsystem to the hardware, manage the data stores, handle the global resources, choose a software strategy, handle the boundary condition, set trade-off priorities, select the architectural style. That means what? When you have conceived a particular system, or when you have devised a particular system, what type of problem statement you are trying to define. So what is the framework that it is going to follow, that you are going to identify. So once this has been used, so for making a reuse plan, it depends upon what type of object oriented programming language that you are using. Either it can be a Java, C Sharp, or C++. So depending upon a object-oriented technology, you are trying to reuse a plan. So when we are using the object-oriented concept, it can be of different types of concept. Either it can be a libraries, frameworks, or it can be a patterns. So depending upon what type of approach that you are suggesting or that will suit for a particular problem, we need to make a reuse plan. That means we need to try to reduce the complexity of the system by applying the reuse plan. Next thing is organize the system into the subsystem. So when you have taken a large problem, what you need to do, you are dividing the entire problem in different perspectives. When you look at the SRS concept, you can identify who are the different users, what are the different modules that we are trying to use. So we have identified what are the modules that are there. So once the modules has been identified, each and every module has to be assigned with respect to the software and the hardware. So then what we are trying to do, we are trying to combine the entire system, and we are measuring the performance of the system with respect to the non-functional requirements. Maybe it can be like availability, scalability, security, tolerance, or a reliability with respect to different measures or different metrics. What we are trying to do, we are trying to organize the system into the subsystem. And the next thing is identifying the concurrency inherent in the problem. So whether the systems can run in a parallel. So whether the consecutive or corresponding execution is possible. So those things has to be identified with respect to the concurrency. Next, allocate the subsystem to the hardware. So once you have decided what are the different subsystems are there, so what you need to do, on one hand you have a subsystem, and the other hand you have a hardware. So we need to make a working of this subsystem. This subsystem has to be allocated with respect to the particular hardware. So how we are trying to allocate this subsystem to the hardware? So that is a challenging one. And the next thing is managing the data stores. That means how we are trying to manage the data. So whether we are using the databases, so or whether we are trying to allocate how much of memory is required, what is the storage area of that particular application. All these things will be identified with respect to the data storage. And next thing is handling the global resources. So whatever the database that we have taken, so whether it is available on a server. So what are the units, how much space is consumed, what is the name of that particular resource. So all these things has to be identified with respect to the global resources. Next thing is choosing a control strategy. So choosing a control strategy is nothing but how the application can be controlled. So the application can be controlled with respect to the procedure driven or a event driven. So based on that, we are trying to identify how the control strategy is going to work. And next thing is handling the boundary conditions. So the handling the boundary condition is, so how the system will be initialized, so how the system will be terminated. So if there is any failure, or if any one of the components is a failure, then how to come up with that failure or how to resolve that failure. All these things will be discussed with respect to the handling the boundary condition. And the next thing is set trade-off priorities. So with respect to trade-off priorities, what we are identifying, we are trying to identify with respect to the different priorities. So with respect to the cost, with respect to memory, with respect to portability, with respect to speed. So there are various metrics. So depending upon their priorities, we are trying to set the priorities. Depending upon that, we need to take care while we are developing a particular system. And next thing is architectural styles. So whether it includes a batch transformation or whether it includes a continuous transformation. So how the interactions can be made. So all these things will be taken care with respect to the selection of the architectural styles. So the first thing is we need to estimate the performance. So when it comes for the estimation of the performance, so here what we are trying to identify, we are planning for a new system. So when we are planning to have a new system, we need to have a rough performance estimation. So that engineers call it as a back of the envelope calculation. That means, say for example, if you want to develop a particular system, say for example, like customer want to construct a house in a particular plot. So what he need to have? He need to have an estimation. So what is the total cost that is required for building that house or a flat? So what are the resources, the best resources that are available? So whether it is within the budget. So these are the calculations that are taken care by a particular client when he want to build a house in his plot. So similarly, when we are trying to develop a particular software application, what we need to have? We need to have a rough performance estimation. So how do we identify the rough performance estimation? Depending upon the type of design that we are suggesting. Based on the design, what we are identifying, we are trying to identify the complexity of the system. So from the complexity, what we are trying to identify, how we can achieve the feasibility. So whether the system is technically feasible, economically feasible, operational feasibility, economical feasibility, all these things we are trying to identify. Then with respect to other things, what we can have a assumption. So whether the system is very fast. So what is the availability of the system? So whatever the assumptions that has been made, so whether we can simplify the assumptions, all things has to be taken care. Say for example, we have taken an example of a case study. Suppose if we want to have a ATM at a particular bank, that ATM network has to be connected with respect to the bank. So after identifying the particular bank, so the bank has to decide how many number of ATMs has to be deployed for that particular ATM. So if we are installing more than 100 ATMs at a particular location, say for example, we have a XYZ bank. So for that XYZ bank, what we have in Alanka itself, if you are deploying 10 ATMs, so whether it is useful. So how much of so if you are deploying at the same place, so what is the cost? So what is the usability of that ATM? So all these things will come into the mind. So whether it is feasible to include the number, what number of terminals has to be included, that has to be identified. Say for example, if you are using, if there are lakhs of people in one particular place. So if you are having only one ATM with respect to all the banks, then is it feasible? No, right? So we need to have we need to have some more terminals at a different location so that it can be easier for a customer to perform a transaction. So that has to be identified. So after that, what we need to identify? We need to identify so whether the terminals can provide the service all the day or half the day, or when it can provide the services. So what is the time? So in the same particular ATM location, so how many number of transactions that a particular customer can make? So all these things are the different identifications or different criteria that has to be determined. So based on a determination of all this metrics, so what we need to do, we need to estimate the performance of the system. So how much of data, how many transactions are going to happen with respect to that terminal. So how much of data has to be updated. So whatever the data or whatever the transaction that a customer is performing, so all this transaction will be updated into the banking server. So when it is is updating into the banking server, so how much of bandwidth is required. So how the data can be accessed by the bank branch. So when the data has to be transferred from the consortium to the respective bank, so what happens if there is a failure in a hardware or failure in a software? So whether we are able to restore all the data, so how it can be, how the data can be recovered with the best possibilities. So all these things will be taken care with respect to the estimating the performance. So next thing is making a reuse plan. So as I said, reuse is nothing but the using the existing one, right? So we, say for example, you have a ball pen. Okay, so once the refill gets over, so what you can use, you will throw off the refill, you will buy the refill, but whatever the cover is there, you're using the same thing, so to optimize the resources, right? So what, or else what happens if you are throwing that pen out, so it may lead to the environment, can be distracted, right? So in such a way that to keeping in our mind that environment should not be harmed with respect to so much of plastics, what you are trying to do, you are trying to keep the pen as it is, and just you are taking a refill and you are filling that. Or if you are using the ink pen, you are trying to fill the ink, and once the ink gets over, you are refilling it. So that is what using the existing one. Similarly, what we can have, we can have when we are developing a particular system, we can make a reuse plan. So that is the goal with respect to the object-oriented technology. So whichever the object-oriented programming languages are there, so from all these programming languages, what we can have a concept of reuse technology. So when you say a reuse, it does not happen automatically. Or what we need to do, it depends upon what type of different aspects. So how we are trying to implement the reusing of the concept with respect to your application, with respect to the system device that you have taken care. So here two aspects are there. One is the existing things and creating a reusable thing. So when you say existing things, so you might have observed the existing, you might be using the existing application. So with respect to that particular existing application, you may observe that there are many different disadvantages. So you may think to add a new features to the existing. Say for example, you have a mobile app. So after some 6 or 7 months, the system may ask you for updation. So it may be with respect to the new versions or new the representation may be changed. Some features may be added. So with respect to that, things keeps on changing. Similarly, here what we are doing, whatever the existing things are there, so we are trying to identify the problem with respect to the existing things, and we think to improve over that particular existing things for, or we are trying to adopt the same existing things with respect to a particular problem. So that is one thing that we can perform. And next thing is creating a reusable things. So for creating a reusable things, what we are identifying, we are trying to identify based on a different experience, different over technology. So what are the building blocks of reusable things? So depending upon that, we are trying to create a reusable things. So when you say a reusable things, these can be a list, like it can be a model, right? It can be a libraries, framework, and a patterns. So these are called as a reusable things. So based on this reusable things, what we are trying to identify, we are trying to build a certain problem. So any doubts with respect to this? So next, the other topics I'm going to explain in tomorrow's class. Okay.